rise for a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we have the secretary perform a roll call attendance, please? Here.
Mr. Peritico?
Here.
Mr. Barr, absent. Mr. Truss, absent. Mr. Glorioso, absent. Mr. Meehan?
Present.
Mr. Flower?
Here. Okay. All the board members should have received the minutes from the May 5th planning board meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion's made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All good. Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is a discussion regarding Old State Road amended site plan.
Evening, everybody. Gabe Vega, 561 Old State Road. So I heard your guys' comments and stuff like that about the trees that Christian was mentioning. When we first took over the property, there was quite a few dead trees on the property. So a lot of the trees that you're going to see from the before site plan or as-built to the now, there's just, when we took over the property, there was a lot of disarray there. There was only 5 trees, or 4 to 5 trees that we actually took down. 3 of them were because of storm damage. We actually got an emergency permit because one of them hit the smaller structure. So obviously we had to take that one down, and then 2 that were alongside of it. And then the other one, there was an oak that was in front of the 2-story house, and that one had quite a bit of damage on it. So we hired an arborist. It's just a buddy of mine, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were, hired a company or something like that and had him take a look at it. And that's why we took that one down as well. If you look, so north of it, so that patch of grass that's there, you can see the damage in the trees there as well. Obviously, we didn't touch any of those because there's no need to, but there's a whole bunch of trees that are just leaning over there as well. We didn't touch any of those trees. As far as like the enclosure for the garbage and stuff like that, because it's so residential, there really wasn't a need to have a whole dumpster area there. So I did talk with Brian. We thought we were just gonna get it through an as-built, but because of another thing that he commented was the biggest thing that we had was the asphalt that we did. Well, going back, is because of that, that's why we did that. We thought we were just gonna get it done through as-built, but because of the asphalt situation that we had, we didn't get to do that. But the reason why we did asphalt more than the plan originally showed was because of the water that was getting into the 2-story house. So we kind of did a perimeter of it, and then we got a bit carried away on it just to mitigate as much water that was going in there. So we did put some pipes in the ground, but we didn't want to touch the foundation so much because it was built in the 1800s. So that's really why now there isn't any water going in there at all. So try to mitigate that as much as possible.
Okay.
And then one of the other comments I think Barbara and Judy mentioned on the as-built, because we're in a fishbowl pretty much on that whole property. One thing it's a learning process for me. It's kind of like the first property that I've really done. Like I'm usually interior, not really site plan work, but moving the AC condensers from the southern part of the 1-story building to the side, so I guess that would be the west part of it. So I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal because we didn't have any coverage on it before. But now they mentioned because we're moving it, we need coverage. So again, that was one thing we didn't really know until we kind of got into it.
Okay, so, all right, so there's a bunch of things that got moved around too.
That's essentially what happened, yeah.
All right, so by adding all the extra pavement, obviously it's created an issue with the, the water running down into the road. So obviously is first and foremost, and I think one thing we need to do is we need to get the town engineer and the highway superintendent out to take a look at the property. I think they need to go out and make an evaluation and bring that back to the board to see if there's any further mitigation that might be needed. So the first thing is we'll kind of get that off the table. So need a motion to authorize authorize the engineer to go ahead and meet with the highway superintendent on site to discuss the driveway issue.
I'll move that.
Okay. Okay, motion made, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so that's one thing out of the way. And, I mean, tonight, we're sitting here talking about a lot of the items that you're discussing. I don't think any of us have really had a chance to go take a look at the site. And it sounds like, I mean, with all the extra trees that have been removed, things like that, I mean, they're probably going to need to do some kind of mitigation. But it's hard to sit here and look at a piece of paper and say, have you recommend, well, I might put, a tree here, here, and here, to kind of replace those that were removed. So maybe, probably best bet is for us to go out there, do a site visit.
Okay.
As you heard earlier, we were discussing. And with that, if somebody wants to make a motion to schedule a site visit for the planning board for May the 27th at 5:30.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a reminder, as you all know, when you do go out to visit a site as a quorum, there can be discussion amongst yourselves. You can ask questions of the applicant, make observations, but discussion should be kept to a minimum unless you're breaking off into groups of two. Otherwise, you'll need to notice the site visit.
Yes, anything that we want to discuss and discuss after the fact would happen at the next meeting that the applicant would be in front of us. Okay. So that's, so with that, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else. We'll run through the letters real quick with we'll start with the planner.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's definitely going to be investigation by the engineer and by the planning board that will give us the clear idea of how to move forward and what mitigation may be required for the site. I think that in the meantime, for the purposes of the record, the applicant can add some of the elements that are missing from the plans that are laid out in our review memo. In particular, the site plan is missing a bulk table, but I think that it would also be useful to show the previously approved plans in addition to what has been built and what is now being proposed. And your landscaping plan, I mean, it will change depending on what that mitigation requires, but you'll need a landscaping schedule on the plans. And I think that a parking calculations table, just to understand what was approved, what was approved when you were before the board in August and what is now being proposed, to make sure that there's no change in that. There will probably be changes to the landscaping plan based on your investigation, but we have some comments regarding landscaping. Same thing with lighting. The lighting plan, so the lights that you are showing on the call out on the plan, are those currently up or are those being proposed?
Proposed.
Okay. That gives us some flexibility on the lighting plan. The Dutchess County Department of Planning did have a comment making suggestions to improve the lighting on the site. That being said, the lighting as proposed is code compliant, but there could be improvements depending on the type. Right now, you have 2 pole lights proposed.
One pole light and one fixture on the...
Attached to the building?
Yep.
Wall mount? Okay. You may consider I guess it's on the east side. That's the pole light in the parking lot. I think you might be able to improve the lighting on the site if you moved that closer to where your refuse enclosure is right now.
Okay.
That'll spread things out a little bit. It'll also light the parking area as opposed to the top of, the 4 vehicles directly underneath it. Something for you to consider, but as of now, the lighting plan does comply with the lighting code.
Okay.
As far as seeker goes, this would require a reaffirmation of the seeker determination that was made. This would not be considered a separate application. It's a continuation of the existing one, and so you would be either reaffirming or revising the seeker determination that was made in August.
Okay.
So our comments, you heard most of it during the workshop, and you touched on pretty much all of them already. So what we'll be looking at with Mike Sheehan, the highway super, is just the change in the drainage from the driveway. Now most of it, if not all of it, all of the drainage that's being generated by the impervious is getting directed towards Old State Road via that entrance. So we just would want to meet with Mike and take a look to make sure that the infrastructure in the road can handle that, or if there's any drains or anything that need to, supplement what's there, so that we don't create any unsafe conditions with icing or anything like that. So I'll coordinate that with Mike, but I can also let you know when that's happening too. So you can meet us out there and we can talk. The other item that hasn't been brought up yet, we were just pointing out that there's the remains of that old foundation. Is that just going to remain? Do you have
I don't know what to
plans?
do at this point. Like, if it wants to come out, we could take it out easily. I haven't done anything, because once this kind of happened, I was just like, I'm not going to do anything yet until we kind of figure things out. So it's up to the board. If the board wants it out, we'll take it out. If it wants to remain, we can leave it. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's easy enough for us to get a machine up there and take it out.
When we look at it.
I was just going to say,
To make a better decision after we look at it. Yeah.
exactly. If it looks like it poses some sort of hazard, then maybe it needs to come out. But if it's not hurting anything, it's more discretionary. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to raise it as a.
The only concern, going off of Malcolm's comment for the light next to the refuse, is we would have to cut a trench in the asphalt to get a light all the way out there. That's why we kept the light on the milling side, because it's pretty easy to cut a hole through basically that first story building and then trench over to here. And then same thing, we have access to make a light on that first story building, to have a light access for a light up there too.
Are you proposing a light on that, I think, what is it, the east side, on where your gravel parking is?
That's where one of the poles is, yeah.
So one of the poles would be right here, and then the other one would be right here off the building.
Oh, I thought it was on the other.
So, yeah. I'm sorry, it's this one right here. So a pole right here, and then there's going to be a pole right here.
So what you could do is go around you could connect those, run a conduit from the pole on the lower side.
From here?
Yep. Out around, yep. But that's a discussion, that's a discussion between you guys, so if that's what's needed. Everything else we've already touched on.
Okay. All right. All right, does anybody have any specific questions want the applicant to answer today, or we just wait
I don't
until
think so. I
after
think that-
after we go out
after
for
we
the
look
site
at it, yeah.
site visit, and we'll take a look at it? Okay. All right, so that's where we stand. We'll go out, take a peek at it, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item on the agenda for the evening is T-Mobile co-location amended site plan and special use permit, 26 Don Bosco Boulevard. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Arian, A-I-R-I-A-N Eastman. I am with Centerline Communications on behalf of T-Mobile. We are the applicants for the proposal of co-location.
Okay. And you're in receipt of the letters from both the planner and the engineer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We did have a little discussion regarding it at the workshop portion of the meeting. And it looks like we have, I guess, still a few outstanding things we need to get addressed.
Yep, I'm going to try and address them, and if we don't come to a conclusion tonight and you need more from me, I am just picking up this site, so I'm very new to it, so please let me know what I
Okay.
can do.
All right. So with that,
I do want to ask, I have maps, plans dated 12/23/24. I believe they were sent by email, but it doesn't sound like you've seen them. So I have a copy here that may address some of those things, but I'm not sure entirely who's seen what.
okay, because that seems to be the biggest part of the problem tonight is we're kind of confused. Because the only submission I had, at least, that was given to me was the July 2024 set. So, and I don't know if anybody else has seen the December. No?
No? Okay.
Okay, so I think that might be part of the problem. is
So
like-
it probably addresses a lot of that. I have 3 pages specifically that address the detailed site plan, the tower elevation changes, and the detailed equipment layout. They are not superimposed over like actual images of the site, but it is over the existing equipment that's there. I think everything else you've probably, I'm guessing you've seen the as-built survey from like 2007.
Excuse me, does that plan have the old plan in it from like '07?
Well, I have a copy of.
No, then we have that.
So for this, I printed separately. This did not.
No,
have
but
it.
we had it digitally copied.
Okay.
And then when we were looking through the plans for tonight, I said, oh, you did get a hold of it, or your company did.
We got it from Verizon, like, it's Verizon.
but I'm
site
saying,
plan.
so I know
Yes,
we've seen
We do have
that.
that.
That might have gone out by email, because we do have it in the office.
So we have that, but I'm
What
not
was the
sure
date
about
of that plan set?
The as-built survey?
No,
Or the actual
proposed,
plans?
The actual plan.
12, 22, 20, no, this says 23. Okay, so these may be the ones you have. I thought they were 24, I apologize. But I can still make sure that we have coexisting, like, if this is not what you're seeing, because that could be a,
I think what would help also is a response to the comments, the planning and engineering
yeah,
comments.
I don't know how you want to go
Yeah.
about it, so if you want me to just go right into it, I can try to.
No, I mean,
Address
with the next submission, point, because the things that are outstanding are outlined in both the planner's comments and our comments. So with the submission, a line-by-line response, written response to those comments indicating how
So you
they're
need
being
it in
addressed.
writing, line by line, how they're going to be addressed, okay? What else?
That's really it, because I think that'll clarify, if it's shown on a plan that we're not seeing, and you're pointing out that it's shown on X plan, then I think that'll help clarify.
If we can compare what you have to these, we can make sure that if these are the newest ones, and if they're not, then I will get with T-Mobile and we'll get those revised. Because this is what I was told was the most recent that they revised, and that was since the August meeting. So I'm not sure if that 23 date is incorrect or if that is what you have in front of you. So I'd like to at least compare that, but.
I was just looking through the online folder for this application. As far as the visual impact analysis, the question of whether or not we had received that, why hadn't we seen it, it had been submitted. It was on the agenda for the October meeting in 2024. That was canceled due to a short agenda. So that was the submission packet that it came in. But if you look at the October 7th, 2024, under that date on the Wappinger Planning planning board page, you will find the photo simulations.
So they will, okay, so it was submitted then.
We have them,
Okay,
yeah.
so we do have the, all right. Just another, one of the other questions too was did we get all the, do we have all the information we need for an RF analyst to take a look at it? 'Cause that was the other, I just thought about something too, which I don't remember seeing for like need of coverage.
Yeah, so we have some elements of it. But not nearly as much as we got the last time we reached out to an RF analyst for, the towers 2 years ago? Or there was,
The one on
It was
Dugdale.
actually.
yes, it was the Dydell Tower.
Yeah, it was a little over a year ago.
So a full RF analysis, I do not believe that we have. We had not asked the applicant yet because there was the question as to whether or not we felt the need to have them demonstrate that need.
Right. Yeah, but I think if we send this off to have them review it, I believe that will be a question that they'll just ask for anyway.
The RF analyst?
RF analyst.
I don't think we have enough to send to the RF analyst. I think that
Okay.
we would
That's-
ask,
that's what I'm
if
saying.
we want an RF analyst to take a look at this application, we will need to have those documents prepared by the applicant and submitted
Okay.
before we reach out to them.
Okay, so, all right. All right, what else is there anything else that we're missing?
Oh, they just
We have the
said
FAA
earlier
stuff.
it was old.
Yeah, so the letter that we got from the FAA, the no hazard to air navigation, that we got from the FAA, describes this project to a certain level of detail, but the date on it was a full year before this application was made. We just wanted to get some confirmation from you that was done as a part of the planning of this co-location.
I can't speak to the old one, I can speak to what we do now, as we would submit that as our initial findings, but we have to do full regulation, including FFA, but that process with T-Mobile comes after we're given a building permit, and then all of that is submitted before the work even starts.
Okay.
But it's their timeline, and I don't know if that changed from 2 years ago, but that's their timeline now, is once we're given the okay on this, we redo all the regulatory.
Okay.
And then it's current for before the work starts. So that will be addressed to have a more current FFA.
Okay.
What happens if they reject it and you've already been
Then-
given approval
That does,
and a building permit?
yeah, T-Mobile would address that, those concerns, but we submit what we submit because the initial is that we would get approval. So if it's a site that they don't think they're going to get FFA approval, and we don't even apply to them. That said, things happen. If we don't get the approval for the FFA, then the site's not going to go forward. So, yeah.
Okay.
That answers
So,
my question.
uh,
That answers my question, right? It was
Okay.
done as a part of site investigation, a preliminary letter.
They'll issue a letter, but I guess they'll issue the letter after we give the approval, it
Yes,
sounds
so
like.
the letter that they've already issued was something they got from the FAA as a part of a fact-finding,
Like a conceptual approval,
Yes.
similar to what would be
Right.
obtained from a DOT or something like that.
or the Department of Health, right?
Right.
But then
Yeah.
after we give our approvals, they will still need to
Still need to get that final
have
letter
their
from
final
the
plans.
FAA.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is absolutely part of the process.
Okay, but that's, for some reason, I don't remember that in the past, though. That's only the past towers, it was just, do this and,
Well, that was always with a new tower being constructed as
Yeah.
opposed to co-location on an existing. It's possible that it's a different process.
Okay.
That the tower already exists, there's certain approvals associated from the FAA as a part of the initial construction.
okay.
The final thing on my comment memo is the seeker review. It's an unlisted action under seeker. We have yet to determine if we want to pursue a coordinated or an uncoordinated review. There are other agencies involved, particularly the FAA, but they will be doing their own investigation, their own review of the application. So I think it's entirely up to you. Apart from the FAA, I don't think that there's anybody who would be looking at this application very closely, other than the planning board.
Yeah, there's nothing on this site that's of any major issue, right? There's no,
We just looked at the site for
Ah.
Bottini Fuel, too. I mean,
yeah, that was basically
reviewed
pretty
it.
straightforward.
yeah.
So, leave that up to the rest of the board. Does everybody feel that this would warrant a uncoordinated review? So it would just be for us, and then they would take care of the review process separately? Yeah, okay. All right, so somebody make a motion to move forward as an uncoordinated review at this point.
I'll make that motion.
Yep. Second. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right, so that will be the process to move forward.
Seeker's taken care of, FAA is taken care of.
Yep.
The applicant will submit a radio frequency analysis demonstrating the need that the planning board, in case you're curious, all of our regulations are under 24081 in the town code as far as what would be required in that. And the planning board, I presume.
Right, so we have to authorize hiring, I don't remember the gentleman's name again.
Off the top of my head, I don't either, but I did like him, and I can find him again. He's
Yeah, I
he's
wanna say-
independent
I
as
think
opposed
he
to.
had his info, so she said.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, okay,
And so once we get that from the applicant, we can reach out to him.
okay. All right, we need to authorize that at this time, I'm assuming, to send that out. So once we get it, we could send it off.
Yes.
Okay. So then we make a motion to send out, once we receive the radio frequency information, to send it out to the RF analyst that we use on a regular basis.
So moved.
Okay?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right.
And the final would be whether or not the board is looking for any modifications to the visual impact analysis, but it's my understanding that you haven't seen that. The only thing that I would point out is that I found the number of sight lines and the number of photo sims to be appropriate, but they are all leaf-on conditions. That being said, it does give you an understanding of what is there presently
Yeah.
and how it will be modified. So I leave that up to the board whether or not the visual impact analysis is sufficient.
But they gave us enough that you feel comfortable.
Yes.
Were
If-
those actual pictures or simulated?
They're actual pictures, and then they've put a simulated 8-foot antenna.
When were the pictures taken?
Over the summer, I believe. I mean, they're all leaf-on condition. It's all green, it's all lush. That's my only concern. It's my only comment.
Yeah.
I have them,
Yeah.
but I would have to show them to you on my phone. I don't know if you want to see them.
Then the overall, the extension on this, I believe, is what, 8 feet?
8 feet.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to the rest of the board members. How do you guys feel about what's been submitted? Do we need a simulation with the leaves off, or is everybody satisfied with taking it as a, with, the photo simulation with the leaves on? I mean, it is an existing tower, so.
If the board would like to take until the next meeting to take a look at that, we can resend that to everyone and take a look at that. And then you can authorize myself or B to reach out to the applicant and let them know what you would be requesting as a part of the next submission. Because the RF packet, I imagine, will take them a little bit of time to put together, send to us, and then send off to
Will this go to
RF.
public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Part of the RF, and this is a question, part of the RF analysis I would imagine, include the need to go the additional 8 feet, correct?
Yes.
And not to do it somewhere else on the pole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, justifying the reason to go up.
Exactly. So that would also, I would imagine, go into the board's consideration of whether or not they need to really evaluate that any further, depending on how that comes out.
Yeah.
And then the open-ended stuff on the original construction?
Well, I don't know if I don't think there's a lot of open-ended issues.
She has the
Other
She
than
has
what
letters
Barbara had brought up, that there's a lot of
Yeah.
open.
I can't really speak to them, but I can take whatever you have for us. And
I
will
think
make
one of
sure
them is your
they're
company.
addressed. It probably is.
So,
Yeah, but it would
I've
all
only
be-
I've only been here since November, so I'm learning.
no, I didn't speak to everybody, but so that who you represent is aware and
And I want to leave this, I have copies, I want to leave this with you, just so you can compare, see if it is different from what you have. And if you can just let me know, I will make sure that if that is not what they were supposed to send me, that we get the correct one. Anything else I can answer for you?
I don't think we have any more questions for tonight.
No.
So unless you have something else. If not, we'll wait for the next submission
And I don't think we'll get it in before the 2nd, and I'm not available. I have another planning board meeting, so it'll be definitely later in June at the
Okay.
earliest that we'll be back.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Okay, so with that, we've come to the end. Do we still want to meet real quick?
I think we might want to wait till we have more members.
You want to wait for another night with more members?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine by me. I agree. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll put something on for the, next meeting. Hopefully we have more staff, we have more members here. We'll go from there. All right, go ahead.
did you talk to anybody about Window World?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I forgot. That was the other thing.
He should just,
I had no problem
just
with
have
it.
the guy draw a picture of what he wants to do. It's
Would you be, so before I call them back, would you be okay if they get like a landscaping plan and come in kind of like an architectural, even though it's landscaping,
kind of
one
render.
night, just to show you
Yeah.
what it would
Show us
look like?
how he's going to screen
Yeah.
basically from the residents, so that,
Yeah, but we're not going to make this guy
Looking at
spend $10,000 to get a dumpster, right?
It would probably be
No.
closer to 20 or 30 to
Yeah, we don't wanna
put
do that.
fencing in.
No.
Right. Okay, and the other thing, I'd spoken to Malcolm, over in Hannaford Plaza, is a new restaurant in the back little building that's along Myers. So they're replacing some fixtures, so they're going to be coming in. The fixtures that were there, some of them fell off the building, and
not yet,
No.
in a minute.
some of them fell off, and they're looking to replace them. And since they can't replace them in kind, I'm bringing them in for 9 new fixtures.
So he's
Still be
replacing
LEDs.
on the outside of the building.
Yeah, that's actually hanging over, I guess, to light it up.
So they're going to be different than what's there.
Right,
Okay. So, I
just
mean, I guess
telling you
we
it's
could
coming.
do that also as an architectural review, I'm assuming?
Well, we need a photometric.
Or is it yeah,
We do need a photometric plan, yeah.
So we do have 2 architecturals. We have the one that's just a one-nighter, and then we have one where we can collect escrow, so it could be 2 or 3 meetings.
do it too.
But not a whole full site plan.
But just to do it just for the lighting and not for the
Right.
worrying about everything else, because I know that site's been altered a little bit with different people, such as Hannaford. I know Hannaford came in with something that was specific to just their portion of the property. Popeyes did the same thing. There's still another site plan out there for something that didn't get developed.
It doesn't look like it will be developed.
Yep.
Jiffy Lube or something?
Yeah, Jiffy
Yeah.
Lube, exactly, so, yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So,
good.
All
I
right,
just
yeah, but
wanted
if
to
we do
talk
it that
things
way
through.
with a couple of meetings, that'd be fine.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so with that, is there anything else that we need to discuss this evening?
I got one quick question.
Okay.
The car dealer, CarMax down there, were we doing sidewalks there?
Yes.
Yeah, they included that.
Yeah.
On the,
Not on Route 9, but along.
Not on that, but
Smithtown.
Because
Smithtown
there's a lot of
Road.
drainage work happening there, and it looks like exactly where the sidewalks are supposed to be going.
Well, the sidewalks along Smithtown were set back slightly. I don't know what work you're talking about, but I do remember from the site plan that the sidewalk wasn't right at the curb. I think there's a line, like a,
Well, there's telephone poles that are in the way to begin
Yeah.
with. And then just past that, more close towards the building, they have these, they gotta be 3-4 foot grates with underground piping, it appears.
they're putting it in now, or?
Yes.
They needed to put the drainage in to reroute it, because right now there's drainage that runs underneath where they're putting the septic pad. They need to reroute that drainage around the whole property down to the DOT catch basin at Route 9. So that was part of that initial work that they applied for to get that 7-foot fill pad installed to
Okay,
get there.
so that was all right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I knew the fill pad and the demolition was I thought those were the two things that were
And the
approved. I wasn't
drainage.
sure that the
Just
drainage.
that rerouting of that line, that drainage line currently runs underneath the building, where the building was, through that site to the catch basin at the corner of Route 9 in Smithtown.
Okay.
So they just rerouted it around the entire property. So where's the sidewalks? I don't even recall seeing,
The sidewalk ran along Smithtown Road, but it was set back from the curb a little bit, I think because of
Because of the
utility
poles.
issues.
was it in the right?
Because of
Is
the
it-
poles, but
is it a
these
public sidewalk?
grades I'm talking about, the poles, it's past the poles, more towards the building.
Was the sidewalk supposed to be a public sidewalk? So was it
It's publicly accessible, but I think it's on their property.
interesting?
That was a whole, there was an element of,
But
I'm
none of
just
that
wondering
work's
if there was
being
an
done
issue
now.
with that or something.
The sidewalk work's
Okay.
not
Yeah, I
done, but
remember
the drainage line is
them
right
doing
along the property
putting it on
line.
the
So
plan for the drainage. That I do remember, so I do,
Okay.
but the sidewalks were included on that too. So, but if there's a concern, I mean,
Let's see, let's
want
see
the
what happens.
engineer, want the engineer to check into it or no? Or is it something?
I'll look at the plan and see
Yeah,
what's
you
going
can
on.
look.
Just yeah.
They did propose the drainage right along the property line, and that was the plan that we were looking at. By the time we were involved in that project, they were coming back looking for that approval just to do the drainage work, because everything else had been approved. They were waiting for conditional approval, waiting for the health department to,
They're waiting for the health department to sign off on the fill pad.
exactly, everything else had been reviewed and approved conditionally.
And now
Yeah.
there's some other issues from the health
You're
department.
right. And has there been any feedback from them on how that's being dealt with?
No, I
I'm sure they're-
received an email from Karen Moldanowski, the engineer on the project, and she's asking if the building department could look at the construction plans. I'm like, no, not at this time.
Until there's a response on that.
Well, I think we need to get the plans signed.
Oh, she wants for the,
She has construction plans.
They still need to have,
available.
the site plan still needs to be signed.
Right,
Yeah,
we're
there's a
we're a
lot
little
that needs-
jumping,
yeah.
things could change, so I'm not going to have the office spend time reviewing it yet.
they still need health department approval.
They need a
Yeah.
couple of things, so.
So, okay.
Is there something with the car wash or something?
That's why. It's
That's
the
it?
car wash. That was part of the aquifer protection law that Dutchess County adopted. So there were certain uses that triggered the 1,500-foot separation requirement to a public water supply well. And car wash, on-site car wash was one of them. Gas stations, car wash, dry cleaners. So
Okay.
that's something that they're
So
going to have to address.
they're
with the
probably
county.
addressing the concerns regarding the new law.
Yep.
Okay.
Again, which could require the plans to be changed, construction
imagine
plans,
it.
that's why we're not reviewing it yet.
Very well be removing the car wash, so I'm not sure how else they're going to deal with it.
Okay. All right, so with that,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
okay. Anything else?
Okay.
Nothing here.
No? Okay. All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.